Welcome to the Green Room, hosted by award-winning event planner Brian Green. Join us for exclusive interviews and in-depth conversations with the event industry's most iconic professionals. Each episode is packed with Brian's signature straight talk and everything you need to know from event industry experts. And now, here's your host, Brian Green.
Welcome, everyone, to the very first edition of the Green Room podcast. I am your host, Brian Green. I am the CEO and creative director for By Brian Green, based in Atlanta. We travel the world. And if you know, you know, I'm also the national director for Miss Universe Barbados. And Miss Universe, at time of recording, is around the corner. So it's amazing. Today, we have the most influential guest to start this podcast because it was important. When I started talking about doing this podcast, I had no idea of a name. I had no idea what to do. And the vision of loveliness that is on the other side of this microphone, one Terrica, the one and only, said, "Don't be dumb. It's called the Green Room. Get your life together." So
I was nicer.
You know what? You were nicer, but it was important for us to have her as our very first guest because really, the baby's name came from you. The encouragement came from you. So let's do it justice and start officially. Ladies and gentlemen, our very first guest, Terrica, known singularly by the one name, has been spreading her metropolitan style through the Low Country for the last 16 years, creating some of the most memorable events ever. You know Terrica, you have seen her in every single major publication. She's been in People. She is literally the rock star of getting your business life together. She is an incredible educator. She is an incredible mentor. She is part of the Wedding Pro team. And she has one of the most succinct, best ways to help you get your business right in her Hustle Soul Separately system that, trust me, you need it. Your hustle ain't right. You think it is. It's not. It's just not right. It's not right.
It's not.
So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please say hello to my incredible first guest, Terrica.
Hello. I gushed about this before we started recording, but I am so honored to even be asked, right? But to be the first, that means
bye.
Everything. And shout out to, our parents who gave us the wonderful name to run with for the podcast.
See, what y'all don't know is, so let me explain. This is how this podcast is
Mother
going.
Rosita, Father Barton, I love you so much. And thank you so much for the inspiration. And Natasha, I've always wanted a little sister. So this is how
this podcast has already gone left. First episode, we have gone left. The host has lost control. So, dear audience, Terrica is not only an incredible, great colleague, she is a personal close friend. She has also abducted my family from me.
They went willingly.
You know what?
It is not abduction or kidnapping.
This is true. They went willingly. I've been told I can no longer come to family gatherings. I am the one making it awkward. Exactly. Yeah. So I wanted to start off. I kind of have an idea of my head of how these podcasts would go. So everyone thinks they know you. Because they see you on your lives, they see you in Clubhouse, they see you being brought in by 4 brawny men on a litter into a conference. But tell the audience something they don't know about you.
I'm an extroverted introvert. I love being quiet. I love being left alone.
Facts.
I have this huge personality, and I talk to the same three people every single day.
Yes.
And one of them is regular every
Single
single day.
day.
So like people think, oh, she's always out and she's throwing like I had one person many years ago tell me, they were like, I was kind of disappointed because I thought you'd be like super loud and out there. And I'm like, I'm an extrovert around people that I
Right.
know. I'm an introvert around people that I'm trying to figure out or people that don't deserve my energy. Are we going?
Let's just go there.
So I reserve that for myself. And a lot of people think that I'm like rah rah all the time. And I'm not. I'm very quiet. I love being at home. Like this whole shutdown pandemic thing was amazing.
Has worked for you. Has worked for you. But I think that's a very Scorpio thing, right? Because I'm very much the same. If I'm out and I'm at a conference and I'm speaking or I'm doing an event, for me, it's a stage, it's a performance. The performance, it has a runtime. And then I'm done.
Exactly. And because it takes so much out of you. You know what I mean? Like when I get up on that stage, I didn't start prepping for that session when I hit the steps.
Right.
I've been working on this for months. I have been practicing in the mirror for, the couple of days going up to it. I've been planning my outfits, what I'm going to wear, what I'm going to say, how I'm going to come in, all of those things. Like you said, it is very much a performance. And I give myself up completely. I leave it all up there because I feel like it's such an honor to have someone pay to come and listen to you and entrust their businesses to you. You know what I mean? So there are no rooms for error. There are no do-overs here. So I put everything into that. And when I'm done, I am just done. Like I've got a couple of pictures in me and then I've got a couple of questions afterwards. And then I'm like, go into the room. People are like, oh, we're going to party. And I'm like, have fun. I am going upstairs to go to the bottom of Netflix.
And I'm just going to tell you, so Terrica and I are speaking on identical platforms this year. I'm just going to tell you now, we will be in the room with each other to cheer each other on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But when those are done, we are going to lie to you that we're coming back down to the bar. We are not. We're not.
Going to be somewhere together.
Just quietly
in a little vampire's nest.
Sequestered together, eating tater tots and not talking to each other. But that's what's happening.
At all. No.
So we're lying to you. I'm telling you now, we are not coming back down to the bar. We're not. We're not. It's okay, but you'll see us tomorrow.
Nope. we will be in our own separate rooms, in bed, texting each other.
Like, exactly. That is what you're going to get from the experience. So I know you've been in business, 16 years now, which is incredible.
16 years.
For people who are listening, who are coming into the industry, because I think one of the great things about, this pandemic that we've had is it has created a space for people to realize that the jobs that they may have been toxic. They're not happy. They've got all this creativity. They're going to try their hands at the event industry. And I know, like me, you're not one of those that feels like, no, you can't come in. No, like the space, talent will make room. It will always make room. But what's something you can tell them that you wish you knew when you started?
I learned everything that has made me from being mistreated or learning what not to do. So I guess I could say is find your tribe early. You know what I mean? Find your people early. Just because they follow you on social media, just because they left a like or they say they loved what you did, doesn't make them your friend. Doesn't even make them a fan. You know what I mean? You have to be very, very careful about who you let into your circle because, you know what? Let me put it like this. Everybody in your circle ain't always in your corner. You understand what I'm saying? So it is so important for you to find your people who will tell you when you're
Mm-hmm.
wrong, people who will tell you when not to give up, people who will say your name in rooms that you haven't even stepped foot in, as opposed to trying to be liked by everyone. Find the people who love you and who are going to advocate for you. That would be my first thing. And then never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
There are a ton of people. Again, like you said, there's a low barrier of entry. Let's just be
Right.
honest. To our industry, anybody can wake up tomorrow and say they're a party planner, they're a wedding designer, they're whatever. And that can go either of two ways, because in our industry, people will say, oh, well, you're brand new. I'm not going to, give you any referrals. I'm not going to give you the time of day. And they could be missing out on so much amazing talent.
Absolutely.
But talent isn't everything. You know what I mean? That's why the name of my educational system is called Hustle Sold Separately. The dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. You can be great at what you do. You can have these amazing visions, but you have to hustle for it. You have to network for it. You have to learn about it. You have to become a master. So don't think that wanting it is enough. Don't think that because you've planned a thing or two that you've got everything that it takes. Continuously learn. I am continuously learning, because it's not that I want to be better than the next one, or I want to be better than the person who's on the top of the list that are out there. I'm trying to be better than this chick yesterday. So that's my entire goal. And when you look at yourself as the person who is either hindering you or pushing you forward, then you will see where you can put so much more of your energy and where you need to, because you need to have those honest conversations, right? Like, you know what? I really suck at sales. Maybe this is something that I need to look into, or maybe I need to hire a salesperson. I'm not that good at design. Maybe I should tell people I'm not a designer, or maybe I should take up some skills. So I think it's the continuing education is very important, but also having that very honest conversation about who you are and who you aren't. And that's totally fine.
I love that. So you're one of the people that I know that you are brilliant at knowing what you're not good at and finding the people to do it. You are not the chick that is going to be out here like, I'm going to learn to bake this cake today. That is just not what you're doing.
Zero desire.
And one of the things that you do so well is that ability to set up your systems, create processes, and have the right people do the right things so that you can shine at the thing you do exceptionally well. Was that hard to figure out in the early days? Or did you just always know that's not who I am?
Yes, because I hit what so many new people in our industry hit, right? They're like, I don't have any money. I don't have the money to hire so-and-so. So I'm just going to do it myself. And, I was very good at putting things together graphically. I did my own site for years. I did a lot of my logos for years. But again, when you're spending so much time working in the business, you're not working on the business. And I could not very well.
That was a statement.
I could not expect me to try to talk clients into, this is why you should hire me. This is why you should invest in a planner. This is why you should invest in a designer. And I am not investing in my own business, right? I'm not even taking my own advice. So how can I legitimately sell that to a client? Where I'm telling them you should go to a professional to handle these things. Meanwhile, I'm in the back redoing my logo. You know what I mean? And it was just dumb. So if you want it done right, the first time, then hire a professional. So FYI, I have spawned 4 times. My children have grown up in my business. So I was always being pulled in so many different directions of being a mother, of being a daughter, and then being a businesswoman. And at some point, a student, even during my business as well, where it's like, something's got to give. I am not going to show up as my best self if I'm trying to be everything to everyone. So what can I tick off? What can I give away to someone else and make the investment into myself? And that's exactly what I did. Like when people say, oh, can we get together? I'm like, please don't talk to me about that. I have no idea what's on my calendar. I'm not allowed to handle my calendar. I have somebody else to do that.
I am probably one of the closest people to you. And you said to me, do not ask me about no booking a podcast. Do not ask me. I will not do it. Right. You need to reach out to my assistant. So shout out to her
And that was
for
all out
getting
of
you
love,
here.
because I could have lied to you. I could have lied to you. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it on this day. And I would have had about 6 things done. And I would have
Right.
shown up looking like who did it and why. So, no, I mean, trust me, that is so necessary, so very necessary for me. And I mean, it's not even just like with booking, it's with handling customer service issues with courses or things like that. I can't do that all of the time. And like you said, when you come into a conference session on a freaking litter carried by 4 men,
Hello.
that sets the tone about who you are,
Right.
right? That's who you have to be every single time you show up. I can't be that if I'm always in the weeds doing a lot of things as well. So I found that, like you said, figure out what you're not good at and either seriously hunker down, take 6 weeks and learn nothing but that, or give it away to someone else. But you piddling around and you trying to figure it out and you messing it up is only going to make it worse, and it's only going to stagnate your growth. So anything you're not good at, give it away. Absolutely.
Live that, people. Like, you need to live that. It is the absolute truth, though, because we think because we're entrepreneurs, right, that means we have to be great at everything. Honey, I do not do accounts. If I did not have an accountant, the government would have come for this lovely house you see behind me already. That is a pure fact.
But not John, though. John will forever have a home.
John will, again, also taken by you. That is fine. So I know what most people don't know is that you, like Madam Speaker, are a Baltimoreite.
I am. I'm a Baltimorean.
So,
Some call us a Baltimorean.
What? Not me. I know how you people from Baltimore behave. I'm not even going to try that.
Listen, in 2 seconds flat, I can go from 0 to life in prison in about 0.76.
I have referred to Baltimore on multiple occasions as the city whose city motto is bleep around and find out.
Find out. Absolutely.
So how does this Baltimore woman end up in genteel, southern as hell, Golden Isles?
Oh my gosh. So, my husband had got a transfer down here because down here is the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. I come from a huge military and law enforcement family. And so that was the next level for him to go here. So we moved here and everyone was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm opening up a wedding planning company." And they're like, "Oh, you must be so excited." And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no. You are like in the place to be. We have 3 gorgeous islands here that have their own personality and characters. So, you have like different ideal clients for each island, which is great. Amazing historical venues that are absolutely stunning. But you're absolutely right. When I came down here, it was the bull in the china shop, and not so much because, I came in with a lot of rah, but and that's a Baltimore saying too. Say that. I don't rah, like cheerleader. I mean, like rah type of thing. But people weren't used to someone being very blunt and very frank about things, or not intimidated by old money, new money. You know what? Not even intimidated or impressed by that at all. We're more impressed by your hustle. It's said all the time back home that, you know what, you're not a real hustler if you can't lose it all and make it back. So like people saying, "Oh, I have this and I have that." We're like, yeah, that's cute,
Right.
Right. That's great. Amazing. That's awesome. But I found that when I moved here, and I love technology too, a majority of my clients began to grow, and they were either in Atlanta and they would come down because they vacationed here with family as children, or it was their favorite getaway spot. But then my client base grew even more with people up and down the Eastern Seaboard who had significant others who were out of the country. So now I'm dealing, with all types of things now. So I really had to perfect the destination wedding planning process while still providing that Southern experience that
Mm.
so many people were looking for. And that came as a shock to a lot of local people here, because I'm like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. I've got this really great app, or I developed this code for my site so my clients can check in and they can do this. And they're like, can you just mail it to me? Not even email. Can you just mail it to
Oh,
me? Oh, so
no,
no,
because it's
that's
not
what we're doing here.
1974.
And it was a big shock, Brian, because you have so many people who were used to just automatically getting the job,
Mm.
or people who were just like word of mouth, like, oh, so and so said you have to go to this one if you want it to be anything. And here I am saying, oh, no, we're flying someone in to do this and we're going to do that. And it was just a big shock. And now it's like everyone is doing it now. And I'm like, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
pioneer.
You're welcome.
So let's talk about that. You are in the Golden Isles. You do not look like what the Golden Isles people expect when they talk to someone in the Golden Isles. You are
No, and I get that too. They're always like, you're not from here, are
right.
you? And I'm like, what gave
Why give it away?
what gave it?
Um, let's just be straight up. You are a Black, proud, powerful woman.
I am.
What has that journey been like?
It is hard being the only one. It is hard being the first one. And it's super hard when people are intimidated or they're threatened by your talent, by your voice, or when they're upset that you're confident within yourself, when they're upset that not just you like you, but other people like you too, and they expect a certain role out of you because that's how it's always been. It's been a challenge, but I've never backed down from a challenge before. It's, I can remember having a wedding at a big place down here, and they didn't believe that I was a real wedding planner. And so one of my assistants overheard someone in charge telling their assistant, just follow her around and make sure she doesn't mess
You're
anything up. And it wasn't
kidding.
said in a way she's new type of thing. You know what I mean? And they were like, well, go to her and ask if she has any cards, because we don't really think that she's real. And I'm like, she's
She's here.
here.
Wait, in fact, wait.
She
Let me do the Oprah Meghan Markle. What? What?
Oh, honey. So I remember I had asked for a lectern for the ceremony. And this person began to berate me, and they were saying, do you even know the difference? Do you want a podium or do you want a lectern?
No.
And I was like,
Lectern.
I have no desire to have a podium at my ceremony. I just need a lectern. And so he's like, just bring her both so that she can look at it and see, because I don't think that she knows what she wants. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. And I just pulled him over to the side and I said, I have a question for you. Is it my size or my color that intimidates you? Because I can change neither. So you and I have one or two issues that we can get rid of right here. You can stop talking to me for the rest of the night and we can complete this event perfectly, seamlessly, and professionally for our client. Or you can tell me what your issue is. I can tell you how to get over it. And then we will still have a beautiful, seamless, and professional event for our client. But either way, I'm still here. I'm contractually obligated to be here. I have to work here. You have to work with me. All this other nonsense has to stop. Granted, he came up to my belly button. That's why I was like, something is intimidating you. Something is intimidating you here. After that, I didn't have any more issues. And then after that, it got around that she will bite back. And that's when a lot of people stopped playing games with me, because I made it known that, there's different cultures everywhere. There's different cultures in, different communities, different classes, different states, different cities. Again, I'm a big city girl who came down to this very small Southern community. and they weren't used to someone who was willing to bite back.
Right.
And
They were missing the
I'm glad I
genteel, and
did.
I'm glad that you gave them that experience.
Yeah. If anything else, I am an experience creator. So,
I
yes.
love that. So I know that last summer we went through just the most horrific experiences from what I've been calling a panini press, a panorama, a Pandora's box, anything except pandemic.
Yes. You no longer use the word
We do
pandemic.
not.
That's right.
We went through that experience, but then
Yes.
we rolled in to day 145 in the year 2020, May 25th, and we got to watch George Floyd's life ebb from his body for 9 minutes and
Yes.
29 seconds.
Mhm.
At that time, you were very vocal and you created one of the most incredible platforms for Black creatives to talk about the Black experience, what our pain points were, and how we needed our own industry to acknowledge who we were and not accept, but appreciate that we bring value to any room.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I thank you for that because I was obviously honored to be a part of it, but it was such a pivotal moment with thousands of people tuning in. My parents tuned in and they're now part of your mailing list. They're not even on my mailing list.
That's how I got them. That's how it started.
But
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
it's 331 days now since the murder. His murderer, whose name I don't call ever, has just been found guilty on all 3 counts. How do you feel now post that time? How do you feel now about that entire thing?
I think, like a lot of people, I did not have high expectations, and I had several white colleagues say, "Oh, but it was on tape." So was Rodney King.
So
So
was
was
Rodney
Eric
King.
Gardner. There was
Okay,
so
we've been here.
We've been here before, and I just didn't have a lot of high hopes for it. And when I sat down, and for those of you that don't know, I was in legal studies before I became a wedding planner. And I know I've been a jury foreperson for several occasions. And I know what it means when a jury comes back during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think, all right, we're going to get something. I don't know if we're going to get all of it. I don't know. I don't know what the conversations were in that room. I don't know, how hard they had to fight. But even though they came back to me fairly quickly.
11 hours. It was 11 hours.
Yeah, they came back fairly quickly. I still wasn't like, yup, this is it. This is it. And then when they announced it, I noticed one thing about myself and one thing about he who shall not be named. I noticed that I just started tearing up and the tears just started coming down. And it was not joy. It was not celebration. It was a release, because it was like, finally, it took the videotape. It took the destruction of a 17-year-old Black girl who is still suffering with PTSD and having to watch that. It took several other professionals within his realm and within his agencies to say this is wrong, for people to beg and for people to scream, and for almost a year to happen for this court case. It took all of that for us to get to that. So that's where my tears came from with the finally thing. That's what I noticed about me. What I noticed about him immediately was the look of surprise when he heard.
I noticed that as well.
As if he was like, really? Like, and it just says so much to the levels of privilege that certain people have in thinking that they can get away with. I see it all the time down here, that they can get away with saying, doing certain things. And so much so that they don't even have to take the stand in their defense to say anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? They can just act however and toss in a few innuendos or a few rumors, and that's it. So that's how I felt, and that's what I thought. I wasn't, as it's been said over and over again, you know, the true justice would be George Floyd being alive right now to help Gianna get ready for the end of the school
Right.
year, for, you know, him to be here to remember his own mom that he was calling out for, that he lost in a couple of weeks for Mother's Day. That would have been true justice.
Because you are such a leader in our Black industry as as an event professional, how have you seen the industry change since those conversations of last summer?
You know, there was something that was said by A.G. Ellison that I thought was very poignant, where he said, you know, this is not justice, this is accountability, in terms to the verdict. And I think that we're seeing that as well within our industry. We're getting to the point of equity. I'm not saying we're close. We're getting there. We're one step closer than we were yesterday. But I'm seeing a lot of people being held accountable. And that's what I wanted. Because, you know, I was tired of seeing all of the gorgeous events being produced by some of the most amazing people, especially people of color, and them never getting their recognition. Everyone from the planners to the photographers to the designers to the wait staff, the service staff at catering companies. You know, there are so many people. It's like, we're here. And people would always say like, oh, well, I don't know any XYZ. And I'm like, how? How do you not know us? We are here. And the fact that you overlook us was just so painful. So out of these conversations that were had, a lot of people were forced. They were absolutely forced to look at themselves, to look at their work, to look at their bodies of work. You know, do I have a diverse clientele? Do I have a diverse creative partner network? When I am going to conferences and educational sessions, what type of people are on the stages that are reflective of the area that I live in, reflective of the client base I want to have, reflective of the world that I want to be in? And I think when people started asking themselves those really hard questions, they saw that it wasn't as diverse as they thought it was. It wasn't as inclusive as they thought it was. And so many great things have grown out of it. I sit on quite a few diversity and inclusion boards for different brands within the wedding industry. Now we've seen the amazing Fellowship for Change with Wedding Pro, which is the conjunction of the Knot and Wedding Wire, to help underrepresented people of color and people in different lifestyles and people in different communities to have their voices heard, to be invested in. And I felt like none of that probably would have happened if we didn't have last year. Covers started changing. A lot of people aren't happy about the lists, but the lists started to come out and we started to get more there. Are we done? Absolutely not. We're never going to be done. We're not going to make up for over 400 years in 330 some odd days, but it's a hell of a lot better than where we were. And I'm proud of every single person, you know, white, Black, brown, whoever, that really stood up and said, this is wrong. This is what we have to do. This is how we have to fix it. And calling out those who gave pushback, and really standing up for what we want this industry to be. If we can honestly say that love is love, and I love one thing that I've always taken from you, where you say, you know, don't say that you don't see color, because if you don't see color, you don't see me. Flowers come in so many amazing colors, and so do the phenomenal professionals within our industry as well. You cannot have a gorgeous, stunning installment or bouquet if you don't use a depth of color, if you don't use a range of different florals and different pieces. And I feel like we are no different in our industry as well. So I'm glad that people are listening for
I
sure.
love that you said that, and I hope that people know that part of this journey is that advocating does not stop. Right? It does
Never.
not stop. We
Absolutely.
continue to do the
Absolutely
work
not.
every single day because
Yes.
until we can get to the point where we are not losing Black lives in the street to people who are there to protect and serve, this conversation continues.
Not even those. Our neighbors. I'm 15 minutes away
Very,
from
very,
where
Ahmad Aubrey,
Ahmaud
that
Arbery
is a
is
fact.
killed. And oh, like, and that's another thing when you had asked me about George Floyd's murderer's trial. Like, yes, I felt that finally, but I was like, we still got to go through this
Yep.
again.
We have Ahmad, we have 3 more police officers. It
Right.
continues. It continues.
It continues, and it does not stop. Like, and I wonder, Brian, and I meant to ask you this too, what you thought the jury might feel after getting out of being sequestered to find out the number of Black people who have been killed during the trial, during the last
You know,
week
it's
of the
funny.
trial.
And we didn't even talk about this, but it crossed my mind literally that same day that they're going to come out after being
Yep.
sequestered on Monday
Hmm. Yep.
to discover that 3 additional lives were lost
Yep.
in that
Like within the past week, within like the
short
week.
space of time.
Yes.
And I feel, honestly, I think they, as a good jury should, would have been focused on their job and
Of
their
course.
tasks. And I think that what they would do without even knowing what they've done is give permission to
Mm-hmm.
juries to come to,
Mm-hmm.
as the DA said, trust your eyes, believe the
Yep.
evidence, and do your
Yep.
job. That was
Yep.
the thing that I think that will be their everlasting legacy from this entire
Yes.
experience is that they have
Mm-hmm.
given juries henceforth permission to say that people in authority are not always right. They
Yes.
can make mistakes, they can do bad
Mm-hmm.
things, and we can hold them accountable while still
Absolutely.
upholding the practice of what it is they do. And I think
Absolutely.
that was huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it never ever goes away. And you had asked about, my experience down here. And it brings me back to my father's experience. My father was a police officer, and we always used to tease him about, I was like, Dad, you're always trying to flex. Go sit down. Like whenever we would go somewhere or something would happen, he would always like pull out his badge and introduce himself by his rank and his name. And like my mother and I would always giggle. It was not until now that I realized my father was probably trying to put some protection on himself to say, I am
Right. This
okay.
is who I
I am one of
am.
the good
Right.
guys. Exactly. It never occurred to me then, as much as it did now. And I can remember when Baltimore was up in flames over Freddie
Freddie
Gray,
Gray.
and I was how hurt and disappointed my father was. Not that the city was going crazy, but that happened.
Hmm.
And I said, Daddy, what do you think? And he was like, oh, yeah, I've known cops who have done that before. You know what I mean? Like just to to punish a potential suspect or whatever. He was like, I don't doubt that at all. And he was just so disappointed and so hurt. And it's just like, even for me here, it's like, sometimes I feel like I have this layer of protection on myself because of what I do, and I don't. I really don't. I've shared with you before that I've done some amazing high end events and been accused of stealing at them. You know what I mean? Being called the help or the girl or whatever. So it's like, it's a mindset change, and it will destroy you if you let it. If you don't know who you are, it will definitely destroy you. So, the great awakening that happened last year. It was very necessary. It was very, very
Absolutely.
necessary.
So
Very
I know
necessary.
that you've gone through some of those insane things, but what's the best compliment you've ever received for a job that you've done?
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could put it into words. I can tell you how I
Mm-hmm.
felt. Um, we've had quite a few where people could not show up due to deployments, and I know what that is like. And we have, had them drop in on a video as a surprise to the couple, and seeing that. Last year we had a wedding that was postponed due to the panorama, and then about 30 days prior, they had to change everything all over again to an entirely different venue. And this meant different vendors had to come in and everything. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
do, right? But then when you're doing it under the context of being in a panini press, it's
It's
totally
different.
it's the stress is so
Mm-hmm.
much heightened. You know what I mean? It's so different. And I can remember finally getting to the wedding, and they remembered everything I did for them.
Mm.
Like they got up and they listed out everything that I did for them. And it was my job, but they were like, you never stopped fighting for us. You never, made us feel like we were a burden. You never, stopped giving us information and making sure that we felt. And this is like during the toast. So it's like, wait a minute,
That's
don't delay.
amazing though. When they do
Right.
that, that's
So
amazing.
that felt that appreciation felt really, really good. And so that's probably the best compliment, and that happened twice last year where my couples got up during their toast to thank me. And when that happens, it makes you realize what an integral part you have been in someone's life. Now, of course, you and I, we don't treat our clients like dates on
No.
calendars, right? But when you see how much of what you did influenced their life or influenced their ability to celebrate with family that they did not think they were going to see again, or that they weren't going to have this time with, and how you've created just for a moment in time for the clock to stop, for them to forget about everything else and to just be there and love on each other. And in that celebration, they take a moment to stop and say, this is because of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best thing in the world.
That's the chef's kiss right there.
It really is. I'm sure had Cinderella did that at the ball for the fairy godmother, she never would have lost the
I'm just
slipper.
saying.
But
Just saying. Just
hindsight,
saying.
hindsight.
But you were able to get them there because, and what people don't know, we're going to talk about it right now, is your proposal that you send to your clients paints them a story of who you are, what you do, and how you're going to partner with them on this incredible journey. So don't give all the sauce away, but show us some of the ingredients on how other pros can really create proposals. Because your proposals aren't, what you do isn't specific to planners. This could work for anyone.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us how, Obi-Wan. Tell us how.
Well, I think that I've become a damn good story seller, not a storyteller, a story seller. And I do my best to not talk about me or the brand a lot in the proposals. I talk about them, and I talk about the experience that I want to create for them. And it's always you focused. And me, I'm just the sidekick. I'm the fairy godmother that, helps it along. But all of this is inspired and because of you. So I make people fall in love with this vision, not only of their wedding day, but getting to the wedding day, what it's like to work with me to get there. And like you said, that works for anybody, whether you're a caterer, a photographer, floral designer, cake designer, or whatever. And I think that because this is so emotional, clearly, like with what we just talked about, because this is so emotional, and because for a lot of our clients, for when they come to us, these are big
Mm-hmm.
investments, right? They want to feel some sort of connection. They don't want it to be transactional. They want to make sure that we understand and we get them. And so that's what I feel like proposals should do. It can't just be an invoice. It can't be just a PDF. It has to be a story. And once I changed this, and once I started incorporating the visuals and the right words, and then putting in the great information in it to where it became something custom for them, that's when everything changed. I book over 80% of every proposal that we send out every
That's
season. So
amazing.
it's
80. That's
it's
but
80%.
what you just said is literally what the real estate industry has done for years, right? So you're going to show your house and you're selling your
Mhm.
house. Nobody wants to see your mess. So
No,
we're going to create a neutral palette that they can see themselves. And that's what your proposal does. You can
exactly.
see yourself
Absolutely.
in this event, right? That is
Exactly.
literally, and then, that little secret of put some apple pie in the oven and let it waft and get that
Right. The
smell of
scent,
home.
all of it. Yeah,
That's what the and here's how I'm going to help you live your best life moment in your proposal is.
exactly.
It's
Exactly. It is
genius.
a story. It's a story of their event. They don't need to hear about me. If they want to know about me, they can go back to the website. The proposal isn't about me. It is about the recipe that together we can create in making sure that this phenomenal experience from beginning to end is going to be absolutely unforgettable and so memorable. And, they can trust me when they read that. They're like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to work with her. I want to work with her team. I trust her. And then that sets the tone for everything else, right? I don't have a lot of pushback later when I say, don't do that. That is
Right.
not going to work for you, because they trust me. They know that I have the bigger picture in mind from the very beginning. So it just makes it so much easier. And, the way my proposals look are different as well. Like I said, it's not just something I went into Honeybook or Dubsado or Tave and I just sent via a link. This is a full immersive experience to where it's like they stay in it forever. And that's the other thing too. I like, because I can see
You
where they're
are
clicking
tracking.
on, what they're, yes, it tracks everything. So I love all of that. But because they're not seeing that anywhere else, and because I'm showing them something different, I've elevated myself without having to tell them to elevate me. You and I say this all the time. I've heard you say it. I know I have said it in Clubhouse where, my great grandmother would say, if you have to tell someone you're a lady, you're not. I don't
Child.
have to tell you how amazing I
Right.
am. You know what I mean? If I have to tell you that, then I'm not. I'm just going to, like my mother says, I can show you better than I can tell you. So that's the goal of my
I
proposals.
love that about you because I've seen your proposal, and you didn't even write one for me, and I was in it going, "Ooh, this is good." Ooh, I mean, I was in it. I was in it for an hour. I'm like, "This is amazing," because it really transports the client to the experience immediately. And
Mhm.
ultimately, I always shudder when people say things in our industry like, "Oh, I'm a creative. I'm not a seller." But you are,
Yeah,
because
you
if
are.
you aren't able to articulate what it is that you do that will make them have the best experience, then
Hmm.
you're not selling, you're not eating.
You're
So
not.
you have to
Nope.
find ways to help you get there. And part of that is really understanding how to lay your business out in a process structure
Hmm.
that, as much as it can be automated, as much of it can be created, so you can
Yep.
stay in the creative side. And I know that you have a digital product that allows people to literally fix their life. Can you tell the people how to get this product, what it does? Because
I
so
have a few
good.
things.
So I'm talking about one of the pro bundle first. So let's talk. We were just in that pro bundle
Okay.
together.
Oh, the
The
workflow.
workflow. So
Yeah,
let's start there. Then we're gonna hit
work the
hustle.
workflow. So a lot of people they just know that they can do what they can do for the client. They don't know how to do it, or it's all up here, right? And that's an issue because, and I've said this before, if Oprah tweets about you tomorrow, you're going to get an influx of calls. You're going to get an influx of Instagram DMs. Your site is going to blow up. Are you ready? Are you ready to carry through all of those people through your pipeline and through your workflow? Or is it all up here? And I also say, alternatively, if Beyonce calls and she's like, I want you to do my Grammy party, but you've got an event that day. If I step in for you, would I be able to provide the same quality of service, the same level of service as you would to your client? Or again, is it all up here? And I feel like so much stress that we put on ourselves, that we put on our creative partners, and sometimes we give to our clients is because we don't have a proper workflow in place. And people think that it's so hard and it's so complicated. And I'm like, baby, listen, if you can bake a cake, you can make a workflow. It is that easy. You just need the ingredients, you need the tools, and then you need the actions to take it from there. But you have to break it down, because if you don't have a proper workflow, you don't even know if you're making enough money. You don't know if the amount of hours you are spending on a particular event is actually worth what you told the client you were going to charge, because you don't know how long it's taking you to do anything. And then, you don't know if you could be off doing better things, because there's certain things in your workflow that you could kick off to someone else. So your workflow can just add so much to your life. It can add so much to your bottom line. It can add so much to your quality of life. It can add so much to, your relationships with your vendors and absolutely with your clients, because they're no longer stressed out, feeling like they don't know what's going to happen next, or they're jumping all around and trying to make different things happen when they have a course of action that they can constantly flow. And then it's rinse and repeat once you find one that really works for yourself. So that's how you can really maximize and work your business efficiently.
I love that. By the way, find one for yourself. You don't want to find one yourself. Just go to Terrica's site. Don't waste time. Do not waste our time. Go to her site, go to her Instagram, go to her link tree, get your life together. Okay, so everyone's laughing. I've been in this business a minute, and I have her workflow. We were in the Pro Bundle together.
Oh.
Girl, I'm not crazy. I'm trying to get my life back, because time is money. The more time I can get back to do quality of life things, it is
like sitting on the couch and watching shows and texting me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like that.
Right.
Like that.
Pretending I can go on a vacation in the middle of a panorama because I'm not leaving this house, but I want to go somewhere. So, but it's important. It really is incredible. Here is a question I've always wanted to ask you. Because
just once, and that was in college, and they swore it would.
she was young, she needed the money. Like, just don't even Google it. It's fine. We all have that moment. But I know you're an incredible businesswoman. You really are. You're an incredible businesswoman.
Work very hard to be.
You are an incredible advocate for colleagues. I know, and I'm going to touch on it. We're not going to talk about it because we have both talked this one to death. There is a difference between when Terrica is the first and she's never the token, because she's going to bring others along.
That's right.
You are an incredible mom to 4 amazing humans. And I always say that good children don't happen by accident. They happen by design.
That's right.
So, madam, what does success look like for you?
Happiness. That's my thing. That's my thing. If it does not make me happy, I'm not doing it. I don't care, the fame that comes with it. I don't care about the money that comes with it. If it threatens my peace or my happiness, I'm not doing it. So success to me is being happy, because there are so many things in this world and in this life that threaten your happiness every single day. So, all of this could end tomorrow, and I will go and work at McDonald's if I have to, but I will still be happy. My happiness is absolutely paramount for me. So I would say It's happiness.
I love that. Terrica, the worst part about talking to you is that literally an hour passes and it feels like 5 minutes. So I know that we told everyone that this podcast is an hour, but y'all listening. So stop pretending. You ain't got nothing to do. You in your car, you jogging, you trying to pretend that you cannot hear your spouse asking when dinner is ready. So we're gonna go for a couple more questions and then we will wrap up. I promise. So we've all had that moment where there's this fork in the road, right? And we could go left and make a decision. Or we could go right and make this other decision. What was your business fork in the road? And are you happy with the decision you made?
Okay, so my fork was chosen for me. I don't know if that counts. Where I got into the huge trademark battle over my name, and I lost my name. A name that I had poured so much into. It was what I actually built my brand around. That's how I got a lot of my attention, was from my name. And that battle took so much out of me. And my lawyer was like, we can keep fighting, but it's going to get expensive. And I don't know if it's going to be worth it to you afterwards. And, I am such a principle girl.
Right.
Like, no, we got to do it because of principle. And then I thought about it and I'm like, the name will probably be trash once I get it back. And then I'm going to have to spend money to clean it up. And then I'm going to have to do this. So I decided to let that go. And I don't even say the name.
You never have.
What's funny? No. What's so funny is that someone else got the name. I don't know if this person sued them. But now they follow me on Instagram. They're like, oh my God, I'm your biggest fan. I'm like, oh, girl, if you only knew. If you only knew. So that was where I was pushed. And, that forced me to start over. But you know what they say? You're not starting from scratch. You're starting with experience. So I had to make sure I retrained all of my audience to look for me here. I had to reintroduce myself to new audiences that were maybe acquainted with the first name, that this is me. And, I can be trusted as well, because there's no doubt in my mind, Brian, that name was specifically chosen and filed for a trademark so that they could reap the benefits
of what thing you had done. Wow.
Exactly. So, I was starting all over again. And then, of course, you're dealing with your peers who are like, oh, well, what happened to you? Why are you changing your name? What's going on? Type of thing. So I think that was probably harder than for me to say, I'll just keep fighting it, because then everybody just would have known it was me. But like I said, I feel like I would have spent more to try to get it back. And I reclaimed something that was mine, and that was my essence. Now my brand is me. When you see things here, everybody's like, oh no, that's Terrica. Everything from, a design experience or an event experience that I create, to the timelines, to the planning experience that I create for my clients, everybody can recognize that as my brand. So that's my essence. And I reclaimed who I was. So yeah, I'm very happy with that fork in the road I was pushed down.
Love that. You were literally pushed down that fork in the road.
Literally, yes.
That is insane to me. Do you have like a favorite quote or a mantra or anything that you use? Because you are the queen of the quotes. Like, if anyone's seen you in clubs, girl, don't play with me. These people know who you are. They logged in because they knew who you are. Like, anybody see you in Clubhouse know that you walk in either to choose violence or to pass the collection. Okay, what is the name? What is the name of your cat? No.
Cersei.
Okay. And who is the quote choose violence from?
Cersei.
Okay. I rest my case, jury. I rest my case. It's okay.
I'd like to ask for a mistrial, Your Honor, because I feel like I was not represented well in this case.
You had poor judicial advice.
Poor representation.
Terrible.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you either walk in choosing violence or you walk in with a collection plate because you are just spitting the facts. So do you actually have your own quote or mantra that you hold to dearly?
I said it before, and I guess it would have to be hustle sold separately because, I was one of those people who was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to have these big dreams. And then I would get down on myself when none of that would happen. But you know what? You can't be mad at the stuff you didn't get from the work you didn't do. So I wasn't doing anything to get it. So why was I upset? Why was I holding myself, hostage to these dreams that I didn't do anything for. So I that's why I named my products Hustle Sold Separately. That's why every single educational tool within Hustle Sold Separately is called a hustle. You have to work for it. I tell people all the time, I am many things. I am a mom, I am a daughter, I am a sister, I am a friend. I am all of those things, but I'm not a locksmith. I'm not going to hand you over the keys to the kingdom. I will show you where to get the tools. I will show you where to get the materials. I will tell you what I did, and then you can forge your own key. So my materials and my guidance is what I give people, but they still have to hustle. You still have to work it. So, I know I have a ton of quotes, but I think that one probably means the most to me because I still feel like that to this day. I look at my to-do list and I'm like, ooh, that needs to go on the to-don't list for sure. Not doing that. Like, what is going to get me closer to where I want to be? Because a lot of stuff, like we talked about before, can be handed off, or it's just not that important right now.
I love
I think
that. Good. I think that is the perfect.
Hold on. I have a smattering of others. I learned that word from.
Oh, they're a smattering, honey. Just a smattering. Just a little smattering. Yeah. So, again, I cannot, girl, you mean the world to me. If I was not in this business tomorrow, you would still be the person I call every damn day and talk shady stuff with.
You better.
But the journey over the last year, and I'm going to get a little transparent. Over the last year was a struggle for me for many, many, many reasons. Pandemic included. People let me down in ways that I didn't think was possible. I am a Scorpio, but I have the heart of a marshmallow, and I believe that people will treat me the way that I will always try to treat them. And it was a tough year. And if it wasn't for your friendship, your guidance, your stupid text in the morning to make me laugh, I don't know how I would have got through 2020, but I am here. I am grateful to you. I am speaking. I spoke at Wedding MBA last year because of you, and they are
knocked it out of the
They
park.
are bringing me back because they thought I wasn't half bad. So I am blessed by that. Girl, ain't nobody voted me top speaker at a conference like you. But I'm gonna take my invite and come back. I would not be speaking at Catersaurus right alongside you if it was not for you. So when people talk about, and they love to throw the phrase tokenism around, let me say that is not a word that should ever be used near you, about you, or by you, because you are the chick that brings the ladder to help everyone else up. And if they can't figure out how to climb up, you are building an escalator. Like, child, I got you. Just get your feet on the ground. I will bring you along for the journey. And that is what makes you an icon in this business. It is why I wanted to start with you. I may have to bring your ass back. Oops, sorry. My sound engineer is going to beep that out, but I'm going to say leave it in. It is why I wanted to have you as my first guest.
Oh my God.
I am going to bring you back as often as you will let me, and you and your children will allow.
Thank you. We're gonna go live. We're gonna do a special at
I
Gator
would
Force. We're going
love
to do
that. Now, tell the good
I can
children how they
definitely.
find you on all of your socials and how they get your products.
Okay. Oh my God. Well, first of all, Brian, I remember hearing your name down here many, many years before we even met. And even then, it was spoke with such reverence that I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? It's amazing. That when I met you, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here because I'm feeling something off of him and I don't know what it is. But I'm just going to sit here and shut up because he's talking. You hit me with one of those Kamala Harris moments, I'm
I'm
speaking
speaking.
type things. And I was like, you're one of those people that when you talk, people have to listen, not to just indulge in your amazing accent, but to literally get sustenance from the things that you say. There's always something there when you talk. So I just remember watching you and I was like, wow, he's amazing. And then oh my God. Then we had the misfortune of sitting next to each other at and I noticed that you were feeling the same way that I was. And I was like, well, I'm going to text him. And I texted you and you texted me back. And then it was like the digital equivalent of passing notes in
It
class.
really
And I'm like, we're going to get this is
was.
so good. This is so good. And we're like kikiing and laughing and
Literally.
cackling. I'm like, we're going to get kicked out. We're going to get kicked out. This is going to be so worth it. But right before that, I remember having an opportunity to see you speak. And the way that you pour into people was like Salt Bay, how he just does his little. It was amazing. So, I mean, I loved you before I met you. And I'm so very happy that not just say you're my colleague, in this industry, and of course as a speaker and an educator, but as my friend. Last year was insane, and having you to talk through my feelings and process things, and then to get inspired, and for you to say, "Girl, you got this," that meant the world to me. So, if anything, I am just a mirror. If I have blessed you at all, I'm just a mirror of what you've been to me. So I definitely appreciate
I
you.
love you.
And I'm super honored to be here.
Now tell the children how to find you, damn it.
Okay, I'm sorry, children. You can find me at Terrica Inc. That's TerricaInc.com. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Cocktail Terrica, and on Clubhouse, where I can frequently be found dragging Brian up to
Dragging
the
me
stage,
to the stage.
where he will subsequently cuss me out afterwards. I'm just Terrica on Clubhouse.
That is amazing.
And all of my products, all of my courses, all of my educational experiences are right there. You can also check out more of my educational experiences at hustlequarters.com.
Amazing. And we can see you on stages where for the rest of the year?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I will be at Elevated Design in July, Cater Source. I will be at Destination Wedding Planners Congress in Bali, Wedding MBA later on this year, and a few others that we're trying to firm up. But yeah, Mother's back out on the road again.
Listen, on the road again. This has been incredible. Terrica, again, thank you so much for being my first. And I'm just going to tell all the others, bring it, because right now she is just the best. So until our next episode, this is Brian Green. Thank you again for joining us for the Green Room. I've had such a great time, and we will see you the next time.